my opinion, there's only 3 reasons why people wouldn't be successful. They're either arrogant, stupid, or lazy.
You only fail when you quit. Don't fucking quit then. Just keep going.
How has moving to Dubai changed your perspective from a business point of view?
You turn left, you get humbled. You turn right, you get humbled. You look in front of you, you get humbled, right? You don't have the nicest car. You don't have the biggest bank account.
If you're at the beginning of your business, at the beginning you have to eat shit and just fucking do loads of stuff, and just it's going to be hard, and that's why that stops so many people doing it.
So if you went back, would you change the strategy from the beginning?
Oh, if I went back, I would have gone. So if you're in the fitness industry and you're an online coach, or you're just generally interested in bodybuilding, this is going to be a ripper of a podcast. We've got Mr. Josh Bridgman, IFBB Pro, rapidly scaling his business, and someone who's also just moved to Dubai. So big thank you for your time today.
I appreciate having me on, my man. Thank you.
It's interesting because we've bounced around in the similar circles for a while, of like in gyms even in the UK, of Physique Warehouse, maybe Crayford, King's Gym. So it's interesting being a few years down the line where both of us are now and things going on, right?
For sure.
Did you ever think, when maybe you was Gloucestershire you were from originally, right? That you'd be in the position you are now, having a hugely successful coaching business, being an IFBB Pro, and then living in the Middle East?
Yeah. I think honestly, like, I've always had big ambitions. I've had a very blessed, fortunate upbringing where we traveled a lot, or went on holidays, I should call it, not traveling. So my eyes were open to what was possible from a very young age. So I knew that's where I wanted to be able to do that stuff for myself. Did I envision it like this? Probably not, but like I knew that there was going to be a route to the quote-unquote top that I wanted to run on, and I wanted to get there quick. So I've been very lucky to have that open eye from the start, and I knew I was destined for something. So,
did you go to private school?
I went to private school until I was 11, and then I went to a grammar school where you do that little 11+ test.
The reason I could guess that from 2 reasons is, one, I know you come from a rugby background, and also that you're well spoken, and that's also a similar thing for me. And actually, what you just said about, like, you got exposed to things when you were younger. Yeah. You don't realise the consequences of that when you're older.
Exactly.
Because if you don't see the ability to travel the world, or like how money really works, or like what success looks like, you're oblivious to what can be possible.
Yeah, exactly. And it just crushes, or it gives you that limiting belief. For sure.
Do you think limiting beliefs is something that in particular is in the UK that's hits a lot of people?
I think so. The limiting belief, coupled with whatever that feeling is that comes up for people when they see someone doing well that isn't like positive. That's the one thing that I noticed, like, stark difference being in different countries, especially the US, especially Dubai. I call it tall poppy syndrome. When the poppy farmers are looking at the poppy field, they look out and they see one that's tall and they want to chop it up so it's all even. That's kind of like the mentality that the UK always had for me. They supported me until I was above them, and then almost felt like, right, let's try and attack this guy because he's doing a little bit too well. I wasn't a fan of that. It's
interesting you say that, because that's something I very much felt, and sometimes still get a bit full now. And I think something really sticks in my memory of, like, something I always remember. I was sort of going back and forth from Dubai a lot this time, and I remember going back actually to Physique Warehouse, and someone said to me, he's like, "You're back here slumming it with us now." I was like, this is exactly why I'm fucking leaving, because people have this attitude of, like, if someone's going and doing different things, they automatically try and shoot them down and bring them down to their level.
Yeah, exactly.
You spending a lot of time in Canada, did you notice a big difference from that? Because for me, Canada in particular, the area where like Burlington and Pure Muscle Fitness, definitely not fucking Pure Gym. They're like the nicest people in the world. So for me, from the British perspective, where everyone's very reserved, you don't talk to anyone you don't know. It's very, very weird. We're like people are super nice and happy all the time.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely eye-opening. Just going anywhere, you go to Asia and it's like that, and you kind of like, right, well, what do these guys have that the UK don't? Oh wait, the UK's got more than these guys. Why are we still acting like that? It's just that culture that we've developed in the UK that just chops people down. So yeah, going to Canada, seeing people smile, you walk down the street, ask what you're doing, ask how you're doing, and generally like get a bit of a kick when you're doing well. That's like such a unique feeling that I hadn't had before.
You're pretty close to your parents?
Very close to my mum, less close to my dad, but still close. Yeah.
Is that one of the driving forces for you to make your parents proud of you?
Right now it's huge. You know, I don't know if they're going to watch this, but like they're not the best financially. So for me to be able to provide for them, look after them, both of them have had health issues that I can help take care of. Like that kind of thing is top tier. You can't match that when you want to help, and then you can. You know, that's unbelievable for me.
To interrupt the podcast quickly, we have a huge Black Friday sale that's on our business coaching at the moment in 7-figure scaling systems. If you want to have success like Josh, we're giving away up to 3 months free business coaching in 7-figure scaling systems. To get access to that, drop me a DM on Instagram at Charlie Johnson Fitness with Black Friday for more details. And that's what you just said there is one of the most interesting things for me personally, because people don't understand how selfish they are being by not maximizing their potential in terms of the money they can make, the people they can help, because at some point it's not about you. Like, I don't fucking need anything else anymore. It's about how I can help other people by being successful. And you, by being successful, can then provide for the ones you love, which is like the most fulfilling thing you can ever get.
Exactly. I think that was a problem that I maybe had in my early days. I was lucky in a sense that most things that I had, first 10K months, stuff like that, it just happened. I didn't try. I didn't have a business acumen, didn't really have any knowledge about building a business. It kind of just happened for me because I was a person in the industry and people floated towards me. So for me, when I heard about coaches building their businesses and scaling and DMing and emails and all the other things that come with it, I'm like, I don't need to do that. Why would I want to do that? I've got to go chase down business. Why do I need to do that type of thing? Completely the wrong mentality. It's not chasing down business. It's chasing down the future. It's chasing down changing your life. It's chasing down people, changing other people's lives. So once I reframed it a little bit, the power was limitless.
It's interesting you say that, because one of the questions I had to ask you was, maybe when we were bouncing around in the same era of like the UK, I was not getting flack, but I could tell there was friction between me and other people.
For sure. I was
like,
probably one of those people.
Yeah, because I was like just fucking selling and marketing, doing all this
100%.
shit. But people didn't really understand what I was doing at the time. So people were like, not off with me, but I could tell there was like some resistance of like, who the fuck is this kid?
For sure.
Because he's not a pro, he's not doing X, Y, Z. But now you see like the bodybuilders shifting to then want to be in that position and doing the marketing side of things. Like we work with Mike Summerfield, second best bodybuilder in the world, like classic physique, right? So it's like, it's interesting in terms of how that shifts culturally and has then become acceptable.
Yeah, and I was a big part of that culture that would look at maybe people like you, people who are doing it and thinking, how are they doing this? Like, but not like, how are they doing it? Let me go find out. Like, how are they doing this? Fucking, they're doing something immorally wrong. That was literally where my brain went. You know, oh, they're poaching clients, they're poaching this, they're doing this. I'm like, it just was completely I was the person that I hated, really.
But that's also, I think, as you mature as people, you understand like how things change and your perception is different. Completely. Like, I think everything in life is the lens you put on something to look at a situation. Like, this is a first world problem, but like my Ferrari wouldn't start this morning. I was getting a bit pissed off. I was like, this is the problem I wish I had fucking the whole of my life. So I was like, this is actually a good problem to have. And it's the lens you put on things you have to sometimes laugh and make a joke of, rather than trying to make a negative of a situation. I think people should always try and see the aspirational side of something, because when I started like in coaching online, maybe like proper started going for it, maybe 2018, I left my job in 2019, like there wasn't really anyone else doing it to a high level, so I was sort of just fucking making it up.
Yeah. I remember seeing you rise and thinking, how is that even possible, and all the things that you're doing, and rather than go, right, let's get around the right people, let's do that, I was just taking the opposite direction and separating myself almost further from people that were doing it, and sticking within that bodybuilding mentality of like, you know, just sticking to the same stuff because it's what everyone else is doing, and you know, eventually you'll get there and all this kind of stuff. So
what would be your advice to people who may be in that bodybuilding mentality now, if like they want to be successful coach, whether it's in bodybuilding, just generally fitness, but they're too stigmatized that they only want to make bodybuilding content, or they have to be like fit this certain avatar? Do you know what I mean?
I think they've got to really assess their goals. They've got to really assess where they want to be financially, who they want to coach. And don't get me wrong, like you can go ahead and build incredible businesses in the bodybuilding industry. There's probably like 3 or 4 that are already crushing it, and that pool is small. That pool is really small. So unless you're ready to dedicate your entire life to being the best bodybuilding coach that you possibly can be, which is talking to people every day, the amount of effort and know-how that goes into building a reputation like that, it's very, very difficult to do it if you want to do your own thing as well. So if that's what you want to do, then do it. But like, if really what you want to do is help people and change people's lives and also make a shitload of money while doing it, you got to really like reframe who you're trying to target at, and really reframe who and what you're trying to hit with your content. Because I think I got a lot of friends who we came up in the industry together, and now they look at me and they think, how how are you doing it? I'm thinking, well, stop talking to bodybuilders because it's all you're going to attract, right? And the weird thing with bodybuilding is you can pay someone £200 a month and they'll expect you to talk to them 24/7, which is fine because that's what you signed up for and that is the deal that we give. But that's not actually a fair deal. It's actually not a fair deal to the coaches. Like, great, you make 6 figures a year, you coach 100 people, but you're fucking dead on your feet. Like, it's actually not a fair deal for what you take on mentally, emotionally, all that type of stuff. So.
I think a lot of bodybuilding coaching can almost be like therapy sometimes.
Oh yeah, you got to take on a lot more than just your everyday person, for sure.
And I think that's also a phrase I like to think of. It's like start with the end in mind. Like I know in my head 3 to 5 years is where I want to be. 3 to 5 years is where I want to be. I'm like always thinking of like the end and trying to reverse back. Whereas I think too many people are literally looking like day to day of like what's going on. And if you look at even maturity in business, that's a big thing. If like you want a mature business, and something I see people do a lot as well as they have a stock market mentality with their business. So like when crypto is fucking booming, I'm sick. Like Solana's going to go to $500, I'm be super happy. And their business is doing really, really well, and then it's not doing well for a month, so like they fucking lose their mind. It's like it's normal. It's going to go up and down. If you're in bodybuilding as well, there's seasons of that, and I think that's also a big lesson that people need to learn. What have been some of the challenges you've gone through in terms of you developing your fitness business, and also you've got your 1MR in terms of like apparel and lifting accessories?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing for me, and the thing that changed the most when I realized, was just who was I talking to. And like I hear this, you got to talk to your market, you got to talk to your market, and I just didn't really know it. And I went to a mastermind at the beginning of this year, William Brown, Brown. And I was sat there, I paid £15,000 for this 3 days, and within the first minute I realised I probably shouldn't have been there, because he's like, who are you talking to? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. He's like, well, go figure that out and then we can talk to you. And I was just sat there all weekend trying to figure that out. 15 grand went by and I'm like, oh shit, like that was the basic principle. Who are you talking to and how are you talking to them? Because it dictates everything and it completely changes things. So the hardest thing for me was to completely pivot 180 from every single bit of content I'd put out for the last 5 years to just completely swap to my narrative, the way I talked, who I talked to. Because my identity was almost attached to the bodybuilding side. I've always been Josh Bridgman, the bodybuilder, not Josh Bridgman, the lifestyle coach who can help you lose 20 pounds of body fat, build confidence, by the way, if you're looking at here.
Slide his DMs.
So that was a real hard thing for me to understand. And I had actually been with other mentors before who kind of mentioned that I should do that. And I was just pig-headed about it. And I was like, no, I'm the bodybuilder, I'll just build this. So that was the hardest thing, was letting go of that identity and making that pivot towards my avatar. But that's also the hardest thing for a lot of people, is who are you talking to? Once you figure that out, you reverse engineer the rest.
Do you think some of that is sometimes people almost don't know who they are? So they can't target the person they want to be because they don't know internally
that's
their own identity.
Yeah, for sure. And like I thought about who I would target, like, okay, is it dads? Probably not. I'm not a dad, I can't relate. Is it going to be young guys? Probably not. I don't relate to 21-year-olds anymore. What am I? I'm above 30. I've lived a good amount of life. I know what people have to deal with in busy lives. Oh, right. Well, that's where my skill set lies. Are you above 30? Below 50? Like that's where I kind of fall in. So I think a lot of people, their avatar becomes like somewhat of themselves a little bit. What their niche is. What do they do? You got the farmer guy. He's a farmer. Of course, he's going to coach farmers, right? So it's kind of like ends up like that a little bit. And if you don't know who you are, who are you gonna?
I think one of the things you said there is interesting. So you mentioned about Dave Kennedy. So for reference, Dave is from Ireland. He's a farmer. He sells online coaching to farmers, makes like 150,000 euros a month, which is insane. And the reality of why that works is congruent. Like, he is congruent with who he helps, so his audience will buy into him, and he's the attractive character. But it's the same thing for guys over 30, because you're fucking jacked, you clearly know what you're doing, you're eloquent, well-spoken. That's a huge differentiator in terms of the fitness industry. Yeah. Like, even if I look back in the day, one of the reasons I did well is because I can talk properly. Compared to like other people, you're clean cut, you seem more approachable than others, and that's automatically like you'll pull in like who you are essentially. Yeah,
exactly. And that's what I figured out. Who's going to resonate the most with me, those people.
One of the things you did early in your career, which was very brave at the time, was you started to document your use of steroids on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Was that one of the similar things in terms of a big decision in terms of like putting yourself out there? Because that probably built a lot of your audience pretty quickly earlier on, because like that was, it's interesting, back when we were in the game maybe earlier on, was a very taboo thing that people didn't really talk about other than maybe Jordan Peters.
Yeah, for sure. So I recognized that it was just Jordan Peters, and I recognized how little I resonated with him because he was 300 pounds, 5'5", and a mutant, right? Okay, well, I don't
basically Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, I don't really want to be that. I didn't have any belief that I wanted to be like that at all. So I kind of maybe passively noticed a little bit of a gap that there probably needs to be someone a bit more approachable. There's also no one who had documented going from natural to assisted. And I was crying out for content like that for myself. Like, I needed that, and I just didn't have it. Fortunately, I had a coach who probably should have been talking about it, but wasn't, who took me through that process. Shout out to Cal. So for me, it was always a no-brainer. It wasn't like a huge decision that I made. It was like, this is if I do it, this is going to happen, because I just would love that content to be out there, because it will resonate with so many people. And then as I started to do it, I was like, this is a niche. This is actually like, this is a selling point. Let me emphasize it a little bit more.
One of the things I really like about that is it's authentic. And also, I don't know if you ever think about this with YouTube, is why I like making podcast videos. Like, in 50 years, my grandchildren can watch back and be like, oh, that's that podcast with Josh and Charlie.
Yeah.
Like, which is a sick thing to think about. You have a legacy almost online that's going to live on.
For sure.
But I also think that, from my own perspective, I like that if anyone ever wants to call bullshit on anything you've ever said, it's like, well, just go and look at the other fucking last 7-8 years of, like, you winning a pro card, you're doing X, Y, Z, or like, it's all there documented that people can go through, which I think is a really cool thing to look back on. Yeah,
it's such a social proofing mechanism. I think if to bring it back to business, like when someone cold, aka someone who doesn't know me, comes in, like, it's not cold anymore. Immediately, like, they tap on my profile. Oh, he's an IFBB pro. He's a coach. He's got 4,000 posts on Instagram. He's got podcasts for hours that he can go, and you know me within a day. So I think having that social proof and just you talking on the internet and trying to be yourself as much as possible is, like, invaluable.
You mentioned being yourself as much as possible. Why do you say that?
Because it's hard to fake it, I tell you. And I've been around people who have faked it, and it's super easy to fake it in this day and age, right? You do something that might be slightly out of character. Can't think of an example. You post a selfie where you look pretty good. You don't normally do that. You do educational content. Well, guess what happens to that? You get a little bit more likes, and then you think, I might do that again. I might do that again. And the bar just shifts. And before you know it, you look back and you think, fuck, all I do is selfies. Well, that doesn't give me any value, blah, blah, blah. So I can see how you can lose yourself in social media, because the dopamine hits, the comments, the likes, it sends you a different direction sometimes. I've been there, for sure, I've been there. But it's tiring to fake it. It's tiring to feel like you're not really doing any service, any value. It's tiring to put on the, okay, hi guys, I'm on camera now. Like, let's talk like this. And then you come off and you're just back down to your normal baseline. Like, that's exhausting, you know. And people catch you, and people can see right through it. Especially now, authenticity is like king, and people can just rip through it so easily.
That's personally why I like long form content so much, because
can't hide.
Bro, it's like, it is what it is.
You're gonna fake it for an hour. Fucking hell.
Yeah, and I think that's where people get caught out very quick. It's even why I like actually teaching live business events, because I don't give a shit. I can stand for 5 hours and talk about anything you want and answer anything on online coaching, because there's nothing I don't know or tried or like understand. So I'm very comfortable to be put in the spot in that environment. I think that's when you're very authentic with what you do. And it'd be the same thing from you from a coaching perspective of, like, you would have no issue people putting you on the spot and asking you certain questions, because you have the history, the background experience to know what to say. But it's when someone has to have everything in their entire life that they're going to talk on camera scripted out, that's when you know it's a problem. And not that saying you shouldn't script some of your content, but if you're having to chat GPT and script everything you put out there, you probably need to learn more about what you're talking about. Yeah,
completely agree. And the art of talking, the art of, like, delivering that it's a skill. Like, of course, some people are born with a quote unquote gift of the gab. You can learn it. You just got to figure it out, you know. You got to just know it. You got to know what the fuck you're talking about. If you know it, like, you could think about walking into a room and explaining to your mum, like, what fitness is and whatever it is. If you can do that, just picture your mum is across the room for you. And if you can talk like that, like, you're going to be a lot better off than faking it.
The position you're in now, did you ever think you'd be earning the money you do and living in Dubai, like, even 2 years ago?
I'm going to say yeah. Because, like, I've always had an obsession with hacking the matrix, getting out of it. I've always had an obsession of just knowing that. Have
you ever had a proper job?
On and off. Like, I worked at, like, Lululemon on the floor for like 7.5 hours.
You got too big.
Yeah. I actually left because I just couldn't gain weight. I was like, nah, fuck this, I need to bodybuild. So a few on and off jobs, but I just knew that I was destined for something. I had that pit in my stomach since I picked up a camera that I can go to the top. And that goes, like, financially as well. So, like, I knew there was a way to the route. There was a route to the top. I just didn't quite know where it was. And I probably didn't even know how to get there until, like, honestly, since I started working with you, it was like, oh, it's clear as day now. Like, I get how to get there. Just got to go do it now.
What was the epiphany moment with that?
God. So I've spoke to mentors over the years. I don't talk about them on here, but like probably 3 or 4 different guys, and a lot of it is reading from the same book to a certain extent, but it's the way that it's delivered plus all the extra bits that people have. And I just never heard it the way I needed to hear it. And I think the way you delivered it to me, whether it be in the abrasive way, you can do it sometimes, like, no, that shit, you need to do this. Like, oh, that resonates with me, because I need to bullshit around, I need to tiptoe around what needs to be done. I think just the way you broke it down for me, this is like step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3, like, this is how you do it. Make sure step 1's in place first, make sure you know what step 1 is, then put someone into step 1, then go to step 2, and then just do the same thing. I'm like, oh, that's fucking easy, like, I get that. Actually, one thing that really helped me, I think it was actually Will, that was maybe, I don't know if this is worth 15 grand, but who knows to say. So you basically just said, like, picture your business like a funnel, pour down water, where does it get stuck? All right, okay, well, if you can't get water in, it's a lead problem. If you can get water in, but you can't get them into the program, it's a sales problem. Okay, well, if they're in the program but they're leaving, okay, it's a coaching problem. And you can just, like, work it out like that. That was the literally penny drop moment. And then having the blueprint through you guys, like, you got no excuse for it to make it. No excuse.
So what's interesting is I remember we spoke maybe 18 months ago, and I didn't even try and sell you
maybe
anything.
longer. Yeah, maybe longer.
And I literally just tried to help you, give you as much value as possible, because I could tell you were very skeptical. Why were you skeptical? From past experiences, from other things?
Yeah, so past experiences. When I was considerably more naive, I kind of feel like everyone was trying to take advantage of it. I think the whole mentorship was super salesy, and like I just had an aversion to being sold. I remember one guy, the first thing he said to me was like, "What are you up to today?" I was like, "Oh, it's my mum's birthday," and he was like, "Oh, well, next year's birthday is going to be better." I'm like, "Yeah, but shut up, man. I get it. I get it. Like, I get you can make me money, but like that's not. I don't receive to that." But for you, you just, and like, it's a good sales technique. You just drop some value, and then it just molds. Oh shit, that's just like what he just threw at me off the top of his head. What else is under that mountain? And then you follow, then you build rapport, then you know, I start to buy into you a little bit more, and
long form content.
That was probably what got it me over the edge for sure. Because I'd say your short form content's different. Like, it's actually different.
Yeah,
like,
massively different. I find it difficult to deliver the knowledge I have in 30, 60 seconds.
It's impossible, yeah. So this is why you should have all forms of content, by the way. But so as soon as that long form started coming, oh, this is it. This is the real person. This is what I need to buy into. And then, like, it was a no-brainer. It was just about getting the money together then at that point, and being okay with that financial risk, which isn't a risk if you do the work.
What I love you said there is that it's not a risk if you do the work. And one of the things that you also said that I like is being quite direct, because that's my natural approach. Yeah. Like, my girlfriend doesn't like it, and I'm quite pissed sometimes, so she gets pissed. But like, you got a problem, this is a solution, do this.
Yeah,
like, there's no fucking around of like, oh, Josh, maybe you should, like, because that's the way I was coached by people, and I always wanted people to treat me as like, I've got a problem, what do I do? Like, I'm stuck, do this. Like, awesome, how quickly can I do this thing? And you're very much the same, which is why you've been very successful. Super simple.
And that's all it was. It was just direct, no bullshit. Cool. That's what I need.
Some of the stuff you're doing with YouTube now as well is like crushing, because I know, like, I think it's fucking weird as this. I think I was in the shower and had an idea about you in a weird way. Which I think I messaged you being like, you should do this on YouTube as like a VSL type of thing on YouTube, and it ripped, right? Yeah,
completely ripped. And it was just super simple. You guys can go on my YouTube and look. I had a few videos go a little bit viral. One's got like 180,000 views now, which is just insane if you think about all of that video is just basically presenting a problem and then showing them how I solved it for 100 people. And if you click on that video, you probably want that problem solved. So there's 170,000 people that clicked on that video that probably want that video solved. It's got 400 or 500 comments. We had 300-400 leads come into the business that month, August, and it was my biggest month. But they've been super simple, like once a week. Like, how hard is it to sit and talk about a problem that you faced in coaching? Like, it's super easy. Just obviously you've got to deliver it well and speak well and hook in properly and take them on the journey properly. But yeah, that was like how to, and especially when it's all organic, that was the thing that took it to the next level, for sure.
This is where most people get their content wrong, in my opinion. And I could talk about something cool I'm building in paid ads with it as well. So if you look at like a funnel again, you've got problem awareness at the top. So you need people actually problem aware, like they have actual issue that that needs to be solved. You then have solution aware, like they then are aware of, okay, this is how I fix it through Josh's video of doing X, Y, Z. And then you have product aware of like, oh, Josh has coaching, he can then help me do X, Y, Z. And this is where people try and put out the wrong parts of content. It's like you actually need mostly problem aware and to pull people through this. And one of the big things I'm building is like a specific pipeline using paid ads, where essentially people are gonna watch this and get pulled through it, but it should be funny. We're basically gonna push traffic out on like short form content to bring people into like the problems awareness stage, then push them into the solution awareness stage, and then retarget them into then like the product and pull them through.
Yeah, nice.
Which is, in my opinion, where content, particularly short form, is going to be quite manufactured in terms of the way things are pushed out. And even if you look at what I thought is ironic with this is how controlled social media is as well, manufactured. I don't know if you've watched the Donald Trump, Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, I just finished it yesterday.
So I'm about halfway through. I tried to search for it, didn't come up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because they fucking hid it.
Crazy.
So this shows how manipulated the social media platforms are,
Yeah.
and also how you can manipulate it to your own will by using certain strategies, which I think is interesting.
For sure. The biggest piece, a real good piece of advice, not the biggest piece, real good piece of advice I got from a guy called Dr. Mike Diamonds. He's got 1.7 million followers. Does what we do, makes 300-400K a month, completely organic, never run a paid ad, obviously got a lot more viewers than we do. Focus on evergreen content. What is going to be able to be clicked in 10 years time, 5 years time, 100 years time. What do people need? What people need to lose body fat. Okay, let's fucking mention body fat, right? Stop saying how to get shredded. Like, shred is aggressive. Shred is aggressive. Solve the problem. Belly fat, hip fat, like just things like that. Little small targets on words. Just made such a big difference in what I did.
How many people over 35 come to you saying want to be shredded?
Yeah, I can't think of one. They want to get fit. They want to run up the stairs. They want to play with their kids. They want to feel confident again. They want to put on a suit and not have the belly be tight on it. No one says shredded. Very rarely they say shredded.
A question for you. Do you wish you'd started sooner taking your business more seriously?
Yeah, man, for sure. It's an absolute killer. You guys probably say it, but like you're costing yourself X amount per year.
Ignorance tax.
By not knowing. Ignorance tax. Like, you don't know what you don't know, so fucking go get it. And that ignorance tax got me good, you know, because I'm not, like, I wasn't poor off, that's for sure. I was making 10, 15K a month when I was kind of just floating around. But guess what? I was probably spending that too. So I ain't making no money, you know.
I actually think what's interesting about what you just said there, in my opinion, that's the danger zone where people get caught, because you're earning like a good amount of money.
Yeah,
where
crazy amount.
You can, compared to a normal person.
Top 1% of the world.
Yeah, compared to a normal person, it's retarded. But you're also in that danger zone where you end up spending a lot of it,
Yeah.
and then you get a bit, some people can get a bit slack, and then it drops very quickly, and then they're fucked.
Yeah, and that's literally what happened to me. God, that's why I came to Dubai. I was like, oh, how do I make more money? Okay, well, I can save for... I didn't know about business and building a business when I came to Dubai, but I knew I could save 40% by coming. So I was like, okay, that gives me 40% now, then I can focus on the rest. And that was because I was making nothing.
How has moving to Dubai changed your perspective from a business point of view then?
Oh, God. A real important lesson that I learned is just like... and you get this here, you turn left, you get humbled, you turn right, you get humbled, you look in front of you, you get humbled, right? You don't have the nicest car, you don't have the biggest bank account, yeah, so act like it, act like you want to learn, act like you want to climb the tree, act like you want to, you know, not be the big fish in a little pond anymore. And that mentality of being a big fish in a little pond, everyone, you walk in the gym, what's up, man, what's up, you good, you're the king of the you're king of the town, like that's a dangerous place to be. Contentment, feeling like you got a lot of money. I did. I felt like I had loads of money. Yeah. But coming here completely humbles you. But in a really, really, really nice way, because the people who are walking, they'll help you too. They'll help you too. They're like up on the ladder, they'll grab your hand and they'll pull you up with them, you know, which is invaluable. So just rip me straight back down to earth and realize I got so much to learn. So much to learn.
In my opinion, there's only 3 reasons why people wouldn't be successful. They're either arrogant, stupid, or lazy. Yeah. Like, the reality is not that many people are stupid. Some people are lazy, but most people are very, very arrogant.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, I've gone through phases of that as well before, where like I could remember in November 2021, I made 300K in a month, and I lost my mind a little bit because that's a lot of money. And then thought I was Billy Big shit, and then like 2 months later my Instagram account got disabled. Yeah. I was also getting divorced, I was moving country, and I was like, okay, you can get the rug pulled really quick. So it's like, that was a very humbling experience, and that's why I'd say for anyone who, when you have difficult things happen to you, it's a learning curve and realizing, okay, like you're never invincible. It's very quick for the rug to be pulled, and also appreciate the highs because there's going to be lows that come with that. And you can't have the dark of the night without the light of the day.
Yeah, for sure. Very important lesson.
What's the biggest challenge you've had with your business?
Let me think. So the biggest challenge initially was like leads. I'm like, okay, I got one of the biggest followings in the UK, not the biggest, but one of the biggest followings in the UK. I am X person. Why do I get like 1 or 2 business calls a week? And I hear these guys making 10 a week, 10 a day, whatever it is. And that was all like about my content and how I was speaking and how I needed to pivot that. So that was my biggest issue. I'd say my biggest issue right now is then taking that to the next level, whether that's going to be organic or whether that's going to be through paid ads. There's always more I can do organically, so that's what I've got to focus on right now. I just don't know where the ceiling is for the organic side.
I would say you can easily get over 6 figures a month with organic.
Yeah,
with
I've been hearing that.
Easy. It's, for me, I think if someone's good at making content, you've got a good brand image, you fit what you sell, there's no issue you can do that. I'll give an example. This is a really random, another niche. It's Nathan Johnson is a white guy who sells to South Asian Indian people who just did his first 100K month. He's a white guy who sells to Indian people. Yeah. Basically all organic. But like I said to him, it's like, when he first started with us, I was like, so you're a white guy and you sell to Asian people. I was like, if you just hire Asian actors in your content, it will do way, way better. He started doing that and all of it started blowing up and going viral. And that's where it's like, you know, the congruency thing I mentioned earlier in terms of like, do you fit the person you're selling to? Are they going to listen to you? And then he's now doing that type of numbers organically as well.
Yeah, it's insane.
So I think there's a lot you can do with that. If you get paid ads, is almost like putting the system on steroids once you have that dialed in. And I think a lot of people sometimes try and, like, I was talking to someone yesterday, I was like, put gun to my head almost, where he doesn't want to do the work, but he's like, all the people on Instagram are shit. I don't want to pay loads of money on ads. I don't want to use the platform. I just want to get people from LinkedIn who can pay me 5K, and I'm going to hire an ads agency to do it. I'm like, I just know this is a car crash going to happen, but I was like, dude, I can't be asked to get involved. Like, you can, like, some people you can't save sometimes. Like, you'll learn and then you'll come back because, and this is, I was actually thinking about it this morning. If it was that easy, everyone would be doing it, exactly. And then it wouldn't work.
Exactly. I think people forget the dog work you got to do still. Like, and it sounds great earning 100K a month, but guess how much work this goes on behind the scenes, you know?
And I would say with that, even when you start to scale the business, there comes a lot of challenges in terms of, from a personal development point of view, because your ability to tolerate stress has to be a lot higher. Yeah. You have to be way more fucking organised. You then suddenly got like a team of people you have to manage. And all these things are difficult, but you don't realise the mistakes you're making until afterwards. Yeah. And that's why, for me, it's very easy in hindsight to be like, okay, I shouldn't have done X, Y, Z. And it's like, okay, cool. If you say you get to 80, 100K a month, which I'm sure you will do, it's like, I know what's going to go wrong in your business before you get there. Because I've done it and I've seen loads of other people do it. So it's like, okay, hire this person, this is what you want.
Exactly.
And that's how you stop pain and problems, and you can go like smooth sailing rather than like fucking hitting icebergs all the time.
Yeah, exactly. When the blueprint's there and you've got people to guide you through it, like you're literally just learning from someone else who's done it 100 times over. Literally 100 times over. It's pretty straightforward, and the decision-making process or the time to decision is greatly reduced. What happens when you make a decision quicker? You get to the result quicker, you know, because you either learn it's wrong decision or right decision. Okay, wrong decision, change again. Right decision, great, make the next decision. Super easy.
I give some good advice on this, actually. So one thing I'd say is that as your business develops, you need to change, you need to evolve who you are and the way you think and do things. So at the beginning, I was like fucking raw, like brute force fucking action of like, let's just do everything as much as possible, throw enough shit against the wall and see what happens. And then I remember getting to, actually when I moved here, I was in a bit of an emotionally unstable place from moving country, getting divorced and all that type of stuff. I was on the warpath. I was like, okay, I want to get to $1 million a month. So I was like, I got my whiteboard, wrote out 15 strategies, everything I could think about of how to get clients. I literally hired all these teams of people, did all this stuff, and it was an absolute shit show. And now the big thing I've realised is that the bigger your business gets, the more you actually need to be slow with certain things of new strategies, because you obviously have something that's working if you're making hundreds of thousands a month. Yeah. It's about how can you fine tune those things in before be like, let's add another thing in. Because otherwise, if you're jumping left, right, and wherever, everyone who works with you is like, what the fuck are we doing? Yeah. And has no clarity either.
Yeah, I think that's really valuable. Actually, now that you bring that up, this is a very valuable thing that I've been given through the 7S program. I wanted to run. I'm like, I want 100K. Sometimes you got to go through the problems of like 20, 30, 40, 50 before you can even have the know-how to do the 100. And I remember with Jack, I was having the conversation. I was like, I want to run paid ads. I need to do this.
I remember you messaged me about that. I was about to say about that.
I was like, I do this. He goes, no, hold off. Learn the process, understand the process. Like, let it sit. You got to think in the real world. Like, how often do you get a pay rise? We're getting pay rises very, very quickly in this business. Just be content with it and like sit in it, understand it, and then like when the time's right, you can make that decision. That's real valuable. So
with what you said there is actually a really good piece of advice for anyone. It's like, what problem are you trying to solve? Yeah. At that point, I remember you messaged on Slack, I think Slack, and I was like, dude, you have a fucking traffic problem. Yeah. Like, you got shitloads of views on Instagram, YouTube. Is like, you have loads of people here. We don't need to bring in cold people who don't know who you are. So it's like, you max the fuck out of that and refine the systems with that, and then you go to cold, because if you can't convert on the people who already know you, you'll never sell on cold people. And that's, a lot of the time I'll test just different types of messaging on stories, organic content, and see what hits. I'm like, okay, cool. If that type of language is really banging, I'm like, okay, cool. You could then go and try that in cold and see if it works. Because skepticism is so high online right now. Yeah. Trying to pull like random people off the internet is going to get harder and harder and harder, which is why actually, for anyone listening to this, you having really strong personal brand of long form content, organic social media, it's then like a multiplier for the ad stuff. So if you're branding organically is like 5-star already, when you start to put paid ads into it, it will work even better. Yeah, and that's what I'm realizing. Like, there's so much value in the organic, so much value in the organic. So it's interesting, because what I see actually is a lot of people who were very heavy paid going back to organic. So if you've heard of Russell Brunson, who runs ClickFunnels. So a really defining moment for me for this, when I heard about this, I was like, holy shit, is he spoke on a podcast about how he's really pushing organic content and concerned about the cost of paid ads rising. So this is a dude who runs ClickFunnels. So I was like, okay, like, you should probably pay attention to this, anyone listening, because if your business is very heavy on ads, it then means you're very much at the will of the platforms, as much as you will of the algorithm. But I think it's just understanding, if you have both together, it's like full ecosystem. It makes sense to me. In terms of your growth, like in bodybuilding, with business, what's been your biggest mindset change, do you think, like from a personal development point of view? I think the biggest thing would probably just be submitting to my ego, submitting the ego, honestly, just like knowing that all this outside exterior that gets promoted on Instagram or shown on Instagram is nothing compared to what a lot of people know, what a lot of people do. So submitting that and just being willing to take the advice, take the criticism, whether it be harsh or not, and learn from that, and put myself into the mindset of building people around me rather than like being the person that people look to. That was super valuable for me. What would your advice be to like other younger coaches listening to you? Because you've got a lot of young coaches to look up to who might be watching this and being like, fuck, I want to be in the position Josh is in. Yeah. Well, a lot of what this conversation has been about, for sure. Like, you gotta get good at these things. You gotta get good at making content. You gotta get good at speaking to your audience. You gotta put the effort in, because it doesn't just happen overnight. And I think for me personally, having the story is just unbelievably valuable. Like, people don't just go, oh yeah, he can change this guy's physique. It's like, no, there's so much behind it. When people can resonate with you on a personal level, it's only benefiting you on a business level. So if you are just a coach online, and it's like, I can educate you here, I can educate you here, that's great, and that will get you a lot. But when you start to seem a little bit more human to people and relatable, and like, oh shit, I do that too. Wait, he does that? Like, oh shit, like, he might actually be able to talk to me, rather than people putting you on a pedestal and then being like almost feeling intimidated to talk to you. That was one thing that I suffered with, people like almost intimidated to get on a call with me. So becoming a little bit more human over that time helps. What have you done to try and humanize yourself on social media? Show the failures, show times that shit's not good. I think Instagram is so curated. Like, it's so curated. Like, I could make you think I got the best life in the world if I wanted to. But I think it's important not to do that. People relate to hardships more than like positive things. In fact, sometimes people see the positive thing, or the money, the car, this, and they get turned off by it. So if you can embrace the negative, embrace the hardships, showing that, people are going to resonate a lot more with that. And I think that's also being open to being vulnerable, because I think so many people don't want to be authentic, like we said earlier, about like, okay, this bad shit's happened, or not, this isn't working, or X, Y, Z, that they're just hiding who they are. But people from the outside know, they can see that something's going on, or there's a problem or whatever. And it's that disingenuine approach, I think, of like what you talk about, what you don't, is a difficult one. And that's where, like, particularly like long form content, I don't care, I'll talk about anything anyone wants. So it's like, if you've got any question, ask me, I don't give a shit. Like, it is what it is. And I think as long as you're in a position where you lead your life, you have nothing you're guilty about or ashamed about, you'll be happy to talk about whatever you want.
Exactly. It's hard for people to be vulnerable. It's hard for people to put them out there, put themselves out to be judged. Just know these people that are judging you are probably always going to be anyway. So who gives a fuck?
Yeah, and I would even say that to people. Like, I'll give an example. There's a coach who messaged me who said he couldn't join a mentorship because he spent $50,000 on a car. Yeah, I know he doesn't really make much money. I was like, I literally sent a voice note. I was like, dude, you're fucking retarded. Like, this stuff, like, not from my part, I don't give a shit, but like from actual advice of like, this is dumb. And that's where I think sometimes people need to understand that people will be like blunt and direct with them from a point of love. And that's the way I would always try and support someone, because people buy, this is ironic because I stupid cars, all that stupid shit, but like buy stuff to impress other people, but the people who actually will be impressed by that are the people below them. No one who's ahead of you gives a fuck about Rolex watches, Cartier watches, Cartier, like I like Cartier, but like no one cares. Like at a certain point, no one gives a fuck. Yeah,
it's super important to try and remain in that mindset, because you can just make decisions without having to feel all the pressure on top of it, you know. Yeah.
But I think the thing you mentioned about pressure is something that's forcing you to grow. So I think any time, like, if you find in your business like this is a lot going on, it's like, good, that means you're growing. Because same for like training, right? It's people need pressure to grow. It's the same whether it's in the gym or in your business. If you're feeling like this is really easy, then things will go wrong and you will fall back. And I'll give it a good example. I remember in July, I said to my girlfriend while I was like swanning around in Spain on the balcony, being like, oh, this is really easy, I'm a bit bored at the moment. And August had a fuckload of problems in business to deal with. And anyone listening might know what they were. And I think that's where, be careful the language you use, because sometimes you pull things into your life. So that's another thing I'd say. I'm very aware of what I say and even the way I talk about myself, because the way you externally talk about yourself will internally affect yourself.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like you guys probably heard me say today, like I knew that I was gonna get it. I knew it. I don't know how, but I just knew. And when you start putting that out, funnily enough, it seems to come back. Not to get all airy fairy, but like the whole give out the frequency you want to receive. But God, but if you can truly believe, and look at the greats, Conor McGregor, Ilya Tapura, just right now, right? He's like, I've already won. Like, if you can accept that, even when you lose, you still win, because I'm relentless. You can just keep moving forward. So putting that out, you always get it back, I think.
What would you say the biggest skills you've learned from bodybuilding you now apply to business? Because obviously you're at the top of your field there, and in my opinion, the two cross over in terms of character traits quite heavily.
So much. The power of marginal gains. The power of marginal gains. The power of just building on what you've got right now, the foundation. If you can put your minimum level at this level, you add a little bit, well, now this is the new minimum. Now this is the new minimum. And you do this for 10 years, oh, well, this is nothing anymore. But you started here, right? And so when you raise your own level of standards to be your new level, that's a marginal gain. Like anything that can add to that, it's just invaluable, right? When we talk about bodybuilding, how well did you sleep? Did you digest right? In business, did you have the right conversation? Did you make the right content? Like, what was the wording here? Like, those small little things. Like, I've cancelled or I've redone an intro to a video 10 times because I didn't get the hook right. And okay, well, that is a marginal. It might seem a lot of work, and it is, but that's a marginal gain. And if that marginal gain gets me one client, all right, well, it's worth it. So the power of those small little things compounded over time, invaluable.
The other one, which was the answer I was looking for, because it reminded what you said earlier, is delayed gratification. Because I asked you if, like, when you compete next in a year. Yeah. And most people are like, they want the fucking abs now, they want the fucking 100K month business now. And it's like, you have to focus on the process, not the prize. And like, having done long growth phases myself, it's incredibly monotonous. And like, this is very, trying to find other words than shit, but like, it is what it is. It's just the ability just to keep going through the day to day and like ticking the boxes to a higher level. And patience is probably one of the biggest things I think most people listening to this lack, and myself included in a lot of respects.
Yeah, especially when we're in a day and age where I can click on your 7-figure scaling system and think, oh, what, 50K, 100K, these guys doing better than you, and you're like, I need to do better, to do better. So sitting with it and know your time will come if you're doing the work.
Would you say you've got a type A personality?
I'm probably a bit of a blend.
Yeah,
I'm probably a bit of a blend. Like, there's aspects of me that are very type A, but I'm also like pretty chilled sometimes. I think in this aspect, when it's like, this is one life, one ticket, like the main thing that makes that ticket feel good is probably money and business. Like, go get it.
And that's where I'd say when you clearly have a huge amount of drive for success, you've in bodybuilding and obviously what you're doing in business now, is that's something you just need to learn to control as well. So even, you know what I said earlier about, for anyone listening to this, if you're at the beginning of your business, at the beginning you have to eat shit and just fucking do loads of stuff and just, it's going to be hard, and that's why, that stops so many people doing it. And once you get through the harder phase, it gets easier to some degree, and like, you get momentum, right? And momentum equals confidence and success, and it loops around. But with where you want to go in terms of actually getting like progress in life, you have to see that as you move up and you get more success, it's actually sometimes about like slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah.
So instead of like blunt forcing things all the time, of like, think sniper rifle rather than Gatling gun approach to just life generally, and you're more strategic with your thinking.
Yeah, that's a really nice way to put it. Yeah, I love that.
Because I even try and think about that a lot more now, of like, what am I doing and why? Okay, like, what's this, like, are people going to like to listen to me and Josh talk right now? Are people going to like the Instagram content I'm going to make? Like, is there a point of me doing this thing, and what's the direct long-term return on this? Because the reason some people are successful and other people aren't is the way they allocate their time with what they do. That is simply it when you put it on base terms.
So if you went back, would you change the strategy from the beginning?
Oh, fuck me. If I went back, I would have learned how to make fitness YouTube videos better at the start and focus on like 1 or 2 of those a week. I'd have done a lot of things differently, but I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah,
and like, I obviously done well, but I could have collapsed that time frame pretty quickly. My business grew very quickly when I started to invest heavily into mentorships, and there's a video on my YouTube channel about how I spent, it's like $300,000 on masterminds now, because one of my biggest values is learning. So I love just taking information from people, and it's like, how can I keep like evolving and getting smarter so you can make better decisions? But I think I went from maybe 50K. I remember this is a good conversation with a Frank coach, did a training call on Mastermind last night. So Frank's helped me a lot over the years. I was like, I was making like 50K a month at the time. I was like, I want to get to like 60K a month. He was like, don't be a pussy, you can get to 70. I was like, So I went from like, but what I actually ended up doing is going from 50 to like 78 in 1 month. I was like, fuck me, this is insane. And that's where a lot of these times it's like glass ceilings on your head, because you don't realize what can be done. And then I started doing 100K a month, and I think I went from like 100 to 200 to 300 in like 12 to 14 months.
Yeah, crazy.
But I didn't actually realize at that time how well I was doing, because I thought that was relatively normal. But that's an interesting paradigm shift, because if I knew what I knew now, how much faster or further could I have pushed that? Because in particular, maybe 3 years ago, there were certain things other people hadn't cottoned on to yet that I could have probably maximized more, which was interesting.
Yeah, nice.
I think the game that anyone listening to this with social media and coaching is just being aware that the goalposts are always moving. And I'm sure you've seen this on social media, that what used to work doesn't work so well, and then there's new things that then start to work, and it's like market sophistication where buyers get used to certain things. So they get used to people messaging, they get used to certain types of content, and then it doesn't work, which is why if you look at something like the Spanish coaching market or Italian or some of the other European ones, it's really easy because their consumers aren't used to being advertised like that yet, so it still hits. But there's always going to be something else, which is why you've always got to keep like learning and staying at the forefront.
Yeah, I've not thought about it like that. It's really interesting.
It's true though when you think about it, because
it is. Like now I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking 100 things that have changed the last 6 months.
I'll give you an example. 2020, I think it was. I started running Instagram DM ads. Didn't really know what I was doing, and we were getting messages and leads for like £1.50 a go. I had this system that was illegal called Direct Heroes that was like automatic replying to them. So I was literally like hammering in messages. We had this automatic thing that would basically like handle half the conversation. We were booking like 70, 80 fitness sales calls a day. It was insane. But then that sounds good, right? But then we had to build a sales team to take that many fucking calls.
I know. How many is that? Jeez.
So that then got shut down, and then we went into other strategies. But it's an example of like, everything has a lifespan. If you find something that's working really well, also if it's quite easy, like I said, it then means other people are going to come into that. Yeah. So it's like, if you find something that works, you need to go fucking super hard as fast as you can, sure. Because other people will start cotton on, and then like they're in.
Then it's saturated, yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen that in terms of like, someone does something and then everyone else starts to copy it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can think of 3 examples right now.
Coming onto YouTube, what would be your best advice for anyone in terms of growing their YouTube audience and growth on that platform?
So I think if you're going to do it as a... it's different. If you're doing it for a brand and as a person, then you got to think about what's going to get clicked on, what's going to keep people hooked in, what's going to keep people from minute 1 to minute 10. So there's multiple things that you can do. Number one, obviously we can start the face of it, like thumbnail, title, 2 things, right? Everyone started to cotton onto that, like big triggering words, maybe slightly controversial words as well. Or if you're talking about money, money's super easy, right? I can make you 50 grand. Okay, well, I want to see that. I can lose you 20 pounds of body fat. So those are the 2 biggest things to get people in. Then you've got to think about attention spans. So, you know, different angles, what's coming up on the screen, is the camera popping in and out, what's kind of like not distracting, but like keeping people's attention, like boom, boom, boom. Is it a different place? Is it a different location, whatever it is. So if you guys go on the video that I was talking about, the 170K video, like every 20 to 30 seconds, something happens on that screen. And it kind of just like keeps you in it, you know, whether it be a picture of the result, whether it be a change in camera angle, whether it be like some different colors. Trying to keep people engaged for time, because time is rewarded, time watched is rewarded, and on YouTube for sure. And there's going to be like the main points, right? How are you going to get people to watch the video? Okay, what's clicking on it? So that's a thumbnail title. Then it's like the content. And you got to have good content. You got to be real with yourself. Like, is it good content? Spoke to a guy the other day, showed me his YouTube channel, like 10, 15 videos from 0. Some of them have 0 views. You know, okay, well, let me just go watch them, go back and watch them. It's shit content. Like, it's boring. It's actually boring. It's all good. Like, this is my client. We lost him 20 pounds. Yeah, it's a fitness niche. This is my client. Lost him 50 pounds, and this is how we did it. It's like, it's great. But like, how are you gonna
make that engaging?
How are you gonna make that engaging? How are you gonna talk to them? And that is a little bit of a skill. How to keep people engaged? Are you delivering it well? What's your tone of voice? Are you fluctuating? Are you are you taking pauses? Are you letting people digest it, or are you just monotone? So there's a lot more in it than just putting a video up and hoping that the title bangs. Because anyone could put a title that bangs and a title and a thumbnail that bangs, but like, the content's king, like, and that's one thing that you're pretty good at, is calling people out for shit content, and it's just true. It's true.
What makes you say that?
I can just. I've heard you say it for one. Like, this, you just got to get better at content. And if you go through, and I urge you guys to go through any of Charlie's content, like the first 3-4 words, I'm like, I'm gonna see what this motherfucker's about to say. Like, I'm gonna listen to it, because it's either triggering, or it's like what I need to hear, or it's just the hook is so good, you know.
So it's interesting. One of the things, do you know Bedros Keuilian?
Who?
Bedros Keuilian?
Yeah.
So I really like Bedros. Did a podcast with him, spent some time with him in America, and it's interesting. So I have hired a speaking coach I've been working with like the last 6 to 9 months, because I realised, I actually wrote down some of the goals for me next 12 months. Like, one is become a world-class speaker, because your ability to communicate is the most powerful thing you can have. Emphatically paused. And your ability to then be able to do that on camera at scale, I suddenly realised, like, fuck, this is the superpower. Because if you look at people who do really well, who, not to throw shit at people, like Wes Watson's an interesting guy, right? But he's very good at talking on camera, fucking phenomenal.
That's what it is.
And that's why he fucking does so well, because he communicates so well. I look at people like him, Bedros, whoever, you're like, okay, that's the superpower of what you need. If you can then put the marketing on it, the angles, the title, the thumbnail, and I actually looked back at one of my Black Friday funnels from last year, and I was like, shit, I'm like really bad on camera, like the way I'm speaking compared to like how I feel now. And I'd use that as an example of what I didn't think I was bad at the time, I say paraphrase, but also shows anyone listening to this, like, you have a huge amount you can improve, because as you said, you don't know. And the people who are doing well at things are trying to find that marginal gain of like, how can I get an advantage on other people? How can I communicate better? How can I improve my team? Like, even not even from a marketing point of view, I can communicate to the people who work for me, clients, in a better manner. And I think that's probably the unsexy superpower that's not spoken about.
No, I couldn't agree more. And like, the thing that those guys have in common, they're so charismatic. It's infectious through the camera. You know, you can feel the, and I think I've heard Bedros say it, he's like, I know that you motherfuckers listening to this right now, you feel what I'm feeling, because I mean it. Like, and you're like, oh shit, I can feel it, I can. And so you believe it. Like, you gotta invest into it. Like, you're talking to someone how to speak better. It's real. Like, guys, if you can't speak, how are you gonna market yourself properly?
Why do you think most coaches struggle with content?
I think I don't think everyone's built for it, honestly. That's the reality, harsh reality. Like, a lot of these guys just ain't built for it. Like, no offense to half of them, but you ain't built for it, you're probably not going to get there either. So you got to figure out another way to get it. Go on.
I would agree entirely. So I know, like, 1,000% certainty. Like I'll say this to people on calls, like, you will fucking crush it. And I say 1,000% conviction because it's impossible. Yeah. Like, I know when someone will do well, and I can see what they can't see.
Yeah.
And there's some people I'm like, you're flogging a dead horse with this, but also it's those are the people who are apprehensive about, like, oh, I don't know if I should be like, they're the ones who are indecisive anyway. Because you see decisive people are the people who are successful just generally in life because they'll make decisions and push themselves. But I think what happens is, in my opinion, entrepreneurship is amazing and having an online coaching business is amazing. This is obviously not putting off it because this is what we help people do. But it is really fucking hard.
It is.
And it's actually hardest at the beginning when you have the least amount of skill set, the least amount of resources, and your mindset's the weakest.
Yeah.
So if you actually look at it, you're almost set up to fail, ironically, which is why, like, the most important thing is to get out through that first initial phase. Otherwise, you're completely fucked, and you're not going to actually get success, and then you're just going to fail at the thing and then stop. And I failed at loads of things. Like, I tried Forex trading, lost some money on that. I had set up a CBD business, that didn't work. Like, I did loads of side hustles before online coaching, and like even tried a mentorship thing back maybe in like 2016 for coaching. It was terrible. And you can't just have one failure to be like, oh, I'm never ever starting a business again. Yeah. But you also have to be realistic with yourself. Like, you said you were destined to do great things. I always fucking knew I could do it. The other people around me didn't. And for me, that was like a burning desire of like, well, fuck everyone. Yeah, like, watch this. And I think sometimes you have to use what you have. If it's a bit of a chip on your shoulder, then that could be the superpower. But I think if you're listening to this and like, if it's not a fuck yes, I want to grow a business and do this, you probably shouldn't be doing it. Same as in when you're putting content online, like, unless you really like doing it or you know what you're talking about or passionate about it, it will come across through the camera straight away. Yeah, so easily as well. And yeah, I think maybe like why I was so reluctant to, I don't know, step into the real world of business rather than let it all come to me was because I had my why and my reasons not to, and my why wasn't strong enough, right? And as for whatever reason, life events, things happen within your personal life, I'm like, this why is getting fucking strong right now. And eventually it tipped over and then nothing was going to stop it. So maybe your why is just not strong enough. You're not prepared to learn how to do content better. Everything has a cost. I remember a good friend of mine was actually faced when I was moving to Dubai and splitting from my partner. I'd been with for like 10, 12 years, all this type of stuff. It's like, you can choose your suffering. It's like, you can either suffer intensely now or you can suffer for the rest of your life. Yeah. And it's the same thing for people listening to this. If you're like, you're stuck in the matrix of the job of I was as an estate agent for however many years, you either can just like, oh, this is quite cushy, I can stay here, or you can be like, well, I'm going to fucking have a go and try and then see what happens. Yeah.
It's a scary thought, though, that is just trying and what happens if you fail. And that's where I was stuck for a while.
It just reminded me, one of the things you said to me earlier was if I would change anything. I remember pushing around and umming and ahhing for maybe 6 to 8 months before leaving my job. Because I was like, oh, I'm not sure, like making like 70k a year here, this is pretty easy, I could do whatever I want. I'm making, I don't know what it was, like 15k a month online, 20k a month online as well. So I was like, I got no fucking stress or pressure. So I was like living the life at that point. And I remember distinctly being in my car, talking to a friend of mine, Mike, who you might have seen, guy with all tattoos, and being like, and he was actually the one being like, yeah, you should just definitely leave. Just like, because he's that type of rebellious person of like, fuck the world. Yeah. So I'd say sometimes you shouldn't rush into things, but if you know in your gut something is a decision you need to make, do it. Yeah. But then I would also document that decision, because I remember I filmed a video of me like after I quit my job, and I look back on that now and it's quite funny. Yeah, no, that's really important to take, I think, for sure. What would you say is the big pivotal moments in your career? So for me, for example, like be like inflection points. One would be leaving my job, but the other would be moving to Dubai. I
would say one of the biggest things. So one of the biggest things for me was actually meeting my ex-girlfriend. I'd never seen someone work that hard, like in my life. I'd just been around people who I surrounded myself with, naturally pretty lazy. I was always naturally lazy, always relatively got things handed to me, right? Best sports teams, good schools. When you're in two middle-class parents, only child, you get things kind of given to you. I was a sport child. I never really understood the true value of work. And when I met her and I saw her working, it was actually during COVID as well, so she was working from home. So I got to see her every day. And like, she would wake up before me. I'd wake up 2 hours after her. I'd probably be in bed before she would. And she would be like a dog, working. And it was just so, for whatever reason, empowering for me. Like, it just motivated me. I didn't get emasculated or anything like that. I was like, wow, this woman is a real inspiration to me. Like, honestly, like, I couldn't believe someone who could work that hard. And that was the first time I realized that working hard is a bit of a skill, and I wasn't very good at that skill. That was the biggest thing for me to change my life. Like, okay, I need to step up. If I want to be with this guy, I need to step up and at least do what she's doing, you know? So seeing her work so much for the same amount of wage that I did for a couple hours work a day, I had this just pit of self-loathing. Like, you're a scumbag, man. Like, what are you doing? You're floating by. You could be so much more. And I said that to myself enough times that I eventually was like, right, I need to do something about this. That was the biggest thing for me to really understand the true power of hard work. And then just like when that decision came to come to Dubai, coming to Dubai was like more than just like, yeah, saving on tax and going to a nice. This was like, this is the turning of the page. This is where life happens. This is where you're in your prime, 28 years old, 29 years old. This is where the meat and bones of, this is where the main meal is, you know. Let's come to eat, let's make it a good one. Because that dessert's going to taste sweet when you get there, you know. So that was like when I remember just sitting down in a place that I'd paid for, I'm like, it's time to be a man. It's time to grow the fuck up. It's time to do it. Those two things that really stick out for me.
I think the first one shows the power of exposure. You mentioned learning to work hard. What did you do to do that?
I did it like really like methodically. So I like was like, right, how much am I really working right now? Like, I'm not going to go do a 12-hour day tomorrow. That's not going to work. I'm going to burn my brain out. I'm going to try 3. I'm going to try 3. Did 3 for a month. All right, I'm going to do 4. I'm going to do 5. I'm going to do 6. And because I didn't have any friends or mentors or anything at that time, I just like consumed content. Gary V sticks out. Gary V just fucking yapping at me all day. Like, you can do fucking better. How old are you? That's fine. Are you 50? You've still got time. Like, I'm like, oh my God. But I just obsessed over that content. And I put that was the only, you know, they say, you show me your network, I'll show you your net worth. I didn't have any network. I didn't have like friends doing well. So I made Gary V my network. I made Tony Robbins my network. And I would just sit and consume that content. And like the power of words, the power of affirmation, the power of seeing someone do it, just slowly but surely built that ball.
What year was this? 2018?
Yeah, exactly, 2018, when he was king of Yap right then. He was really aggressive then. Yeah. He was really aggressive then. Like, he was like, team no sleep, all that kind of stuff. And then eventually he got flack for it. But that was like the peak of him coming up.
Do you know what's so funny about this?
What's that?
I listened to the exact same stuff when I was driving around at work.
Yeah.
So him and Grant Cardone.
Yeah, Grant
were the two
Cardone.
things I listened to. Of being like, you need to make money, you need to get a fucking build a business, you need to get the fuck out of like having a job, you don't want to work for someone else.
That's it.
And I was like, but that shows, that's the impact that those two people had on our lives. That's the impact that I can have on other people's lives, you can have on other people's lives, and anyone watching this, you can have like consequences on other people's lives by the way you live your life and the information you put out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is wild.
It's insane. And like when you frame it like that, all of the, I don't want to say, or the negative opinion that sales gets, like actually selling to someone or getting someone in, like all of that goes away. Like, I don't care about DMing someone else's client because I'm not doing it to get their client. I'm doing it to offer a bridge of like, you know what, like if anything happens in the future, I'm here, done. Like, it's not sleazy, it's not nothing, it's reframing. I'm helping these people. Once I made that reframe, I was like, all right, cool, easy.
Everything is the lens you look at through. And I think
it's so powerful.
What you actually mentioned there about other people's clients as well, I think is a valuable thing, that when people have coaching businesses, one of the most important things to keep their clients is to do good service and actually give a shit, which is actually one of the big problems I see with a lot of coaches don't really care and also don't have a knowledge aspect of being passionate about training, which like you clearly do, which is one of the reasons you're also like congruent with your business because you enjoy the thing you do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's never from I don't go like, right, who's got a client? Let me go message them. I like message them, and they go, oh, I've got a coach. I say, that's amazing. That's a great decision for yourself. Like, if there's anything I can help you with, let me know. Done. Like, I'm not here to like take them. I'm here to just be like, look, I'm reaching out because I fucking care. I'm here to change your life, you know.
And that's very much a British mentality, because even, for example, say if that client left and came to you, it means because the other coach is doing a shit job and they're not happy.
Exactly. That's all it means. That's all it means. It means that what this guy who doesn't know me messaged me. Well, my coach doesn't even message me now, and I pay him. And that's like, all you do is, all it is just putting a seed in their brain, and they're going, oh, wait, that's pretty valuable. I wonder what actual coaching would be like.
100%. One last question to ask you. For anyone who's listening to this who might be on the fence, maybe working with us at 7 Figure Scaling Systems, what would your advice be to them? Because I know you were on the fence for a while.
Yeah, no, I was on the fence for a while. Skeptical. I could do it. Skeptical. The biggest one's always finance, right? Dropping 5 figures on something or whatever it is. Like, it's never an easy decision, especially when you're working on low margins as it is. You're like, right, let me get this together. It's I want to say categorically impossible to fail if you're going to go do the work. I think a lot of people who would, I don't know, I'm sure there's been some people who have come into the program and just left and they've got nothing from it. I'm so sure that's happened. They probably didn't do the work. They didn't apply themselves. They didn't, and I've done it. I've been in mentor shorts where I didn't do it, and I'd lost 10 grand because I wasn't doing the work myself. I couldn't self-reflect. So if you are truly in that mindset where you're like, I need this, it will not fail. It categorically will not fail. You get the support that you want. You literally have the blueprint. Here is the direction mark. Go that way. Like, okay, well, let's do it then. And guess what? It's hard. It's really fucking hard. And you're going to fail, and you're going to go, is this going to work? Oh, okay, it's going to work. And you just got to do it, you know. If you can be relentless, if you can keep showing up. What's the quote? You only fail when you quit. Don't fucking quit then. Just keep going.
I almost feel that's a story of my life. You just don't fucking stop.
If you don't, like, ain't nothing going to happen but good things.
Big thank you for your time today, Josh.
I appreciate you, man.
Where's the best place for people to find out more about you? YouTube?
Just type in my name, Josh Bridgman. You'll find me on all of it. Keep it simple.
For anyone who loves the podcast, make sure you smash the like button, comment below any questions you have or anything you need help with, and subscribe to the channel. If you want help in terms of scaling your online coaching business as well, you can book in a free call below to find out exactly how we can help you. It's not a sales call, we'll just give you loads of value, basically coach you through the process, and you can find out if we can actually help you to grow the business. So hit the link below now, and you can book in a free call to find out exactly where you're stuck in the business, and make sure you subscribe. If you enjoyed the podcast and you've enjoyed listening to some of Josh's success he's had working with the 7 Figure Scaling Systems, and you want to emulate that success working with us, you can book in a free sales call with us to find out exactly where you are in your business, where you're stuck, and exactly how we can help you. We won't say anything that's cool. Our goal is to give you as much value as possible, basically a free coaching call, with the selfish intention that we give you some value that you then join the program. We can actually help you get to the next level. So make sure you hit the link below this video. You can book in a free call now. And if you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, and share it with a friend.